Are we strangers here this morning since we hadn't been here in about 3 weeks? It's good to see everyone. I'm glad we finally got the weather broke to where we can get back together again. Been missing getting together. And if I remember correctly, we finished up with Genesis chapter 45 a couple of weeks ago. And began reading chapter 46 this morning. And we're fixing to get to the end of the book of Genesis. And hopefully after that, we've asked Brother John if he would take some time to do some Sunday school, whatever the Lord leads on his heart for a week or so, or whatever it takes, whatever he puts on his heart. And then we'll try to start another book or start another subject after that. So should be praying for that. Genesis chapter 46. This is after Joseph and his brethren were down in Egypt, and finally he let them know who he was and everything else, and told the Pharaoh that he wanted them to come back, and she may need a copy of notes. So told him to come back and go get his father and bring him back down here to basically keep him through the time frame. So here we have in chapter 46, when the brethren get back home, in verse 27 of 45, it says, "And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. And Israel said, It is enough. Joseph my son is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die." And so if you think about it, remember Jacob or Israel, whichever way you want to refer to him, back when he was saw the angel at the ladder and everything else, what happened? He basically pretty lame in that leg, right? Well, he saw all these wagons that says, "They must know who I am." He said, "I'm ready to go." So, I mean, that's the way he responded to that. And so we'll start here in chapter 46. "And Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba." Remember, that's his place to always go back to. "And offered sacrifices unto God of his father Isaac. And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father and their little ones." Notice they're carrying him. So he's pretty bad shape from the standpoint of walking. Sons carried Jacob their father and their little ones and their wives in wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods which they had gotten in the land of Canaan and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with them into Egypt. So here he's packing up, and all of them are getting ready to go, all right? And you start looking at, God said, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be there with you, but I'm going to also make a great nation of you while you're there, all right? And all that is fulfilling Genesis chapter 15, because Genesis 15 says, in verse 13, he said unto Abram, this is God talking to Abram even, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. Now that's not the beginning here. And they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom thou shalt serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And that was prophesied quite a while back, but now we're fixing to see the beginning of that when they're all fixing to go down to Egypt. And then here we see all the details about who all went down into Egypt. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time there, but we'll read through it and try to come up with overall total to the most part. It says that there are these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt: Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanok, and I'm not the best at pronouncing all these words, and Phalu, I guess is how you pronounce that, and Hezron and Carmi. And the sons of Simeon, Jemuel and Jamin, and Ohad and Jachin and Zoar and Shaul, the son of a Canaanitish woman. And the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the sons of Judah, and Onan and Shelah, and Pharez and Sarah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. So we had them actually dying before they actually made it down there. All right. And the sons of Pharez were Hezron and Hamuel. And the sons of Issachar, Tola and Thuvah, and Job and Shimron. And the sons of Zebulun, Sered and Elon and Jeruel. These be the sons of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob in Padanaram, with his daughter Dinah. All the souls of his sons and his daughters were 33. So we see that have 33 there. And the sons of Gad, Zephon and Haggai and Shuni and Hebron and Eri and Arodi and Ariel. And the sons of Asher, Jimnah and Ishwa and Israel and Bera and Serah, their sister, the sons of Beri, Heber and Malkiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bare unto Jacob, 16 souls. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, which Asnath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bare unto him. And the sons of Benjamin were Bela and Becher and Asbel and Gera and Naaman, Ehi and Ros, Mupin and Hupin and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel, which were born unto Jacob. All the souls were 14. And the sons of Dan, Husham. And the sons of Naphtali, Jehaziel and Gala and Jezer and Shalom. These are the sons of Bilhah, which Laban gave unto Rachel his daughter, and she bare them to Jacob. All the souls were 7. Whew. Next time I'm going to ask our expert if he'll read them. Yeah. And the souls which came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons, wives, and all the souls were 66. And the sons of Joseph, which were born in Egypt, were the 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came to Egypt, were 70. So we have about 70 folks. You know, and I'm not even going to try to say the exact, but that says 70, including Joseph's sons. So you have 70 folks is all that came down. And there was over 1 million came out 400 years later. And I'll just say this, the wives were very fruitful during that 400 years. And you know God blessed them to be able to do that, because that's a lot of offspring in 400 years. Especially with the medicine and everything else they have during that time frame. I mean, there's a lot of them, like two of them had already passed away up in Canaan before they even got to go down. So two of the kids. So we see all that there is less than 80 because there's some other things going on, but we've got basically less than 80 folks going down to Egypt. It says 70, 6, and then you have some situations there. But in verse 28, and thank you, Lord, for getting me through that. And he sent Judah before him into Joseph. So they get down there, and they send Judah over to see Joseph and let him know that we're here. We need to make sure you tell us which way to go, all right? To direct his face unto Goshen. And they came into the land of Goshen, and Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to meet Israel, his father, to Goshen, and presented himself unto him, and he fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. And Israel said unto Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. Now, Israel's only 130. He lives to 147, so he lives another 17 years after he gets there. But can you imagine that reunion? I mean, think about the prodigal son when you see that, except this time the son didn't have the choice to leave, but he knows he was in where God put him. You can imagine that reunion. And it says, for a good while. And Israel said unto Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. And Joseph said unto his brethren, and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, my brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are coming to me. Now the land of Goshen is a nice place. I mean, it's one of the better places that they got down there to have all their cattle and everything else. I mean, so even though they've had the famine and everything, it's still one of the better areas to be in. And but he said there in verse 32, and the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. And it shall come to pass, when Pharaoh shall call you, and shall say, what is your occupation? That ye shall say, thy servant's trade hath been with cattle from our youth even until now, both we and also our fathers, that you may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination of the Egyptians. So he's telling them, he's going to ask you what you do for a living. Make sure you tell him what you're doing and don't try to lie out of it. Because you want to be truthful about it, because that's basically what he told him. And he tells his brothers to make sure they're very open about it. And guess what? Chapter 47, what happens? Pharaoh asked that question. Then Joseph came and told their father, and told Pharaoh, and said, my father and his brethren and my brethren are there, and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan. And behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, then 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, what is your occupation? Right off the bat. And they said unto Pharaoh, thy servants are shepherds, both we and our fathers, and also our fathers. They said, moreover, unto Pharaoh, for to sojourn in the land we come, for thy servants have no pasture for their flocks. In other words, it's pretty bare where we're coming from. And for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, thy father and thy brethren are come unto thee. The land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land make thy father and brethren to dwell. So it's the best part of Egypt they can get in. All right? That's pretty nice, isn't it? Of course, They're Joseph's family, so he's basically favoring Joseph is what he's doing for what Joseph has already done for him. But it is the best of the land that he's given them. Let's see, in the land of Goshen, let them dwell, and if they know us, and let's see, got lost there a second. Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, verse 5, saying, Thy father and thy brethren are coming to thee. The land of Egypt is before thee. The best of the land make thy father and brethren to dwell. In the land of Goshen, let them dwell. And if thou knowest any man of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. In other words, if they're such good cattlemen, such good shepherds, we'll put mine with them. I'll trust mine with you guys. Make them even better. And remember that, we're fixing to get into that part of it. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh. And notice the difference between Jacob here than what he's been in the past. All right? In the past, he's always been sort of conniving and, schemer and all that kind of stuff, right? If he's in front of the Pharaoh, the ruler of the land, even Joseph has to report to. Notice what happens. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? In other words, Jacob's blessing him. He knows he's there at God's will. And he knows now he's in God's will. Because God told him, we're going to be with you. We're going to be with you. And so he's very comfortable, and basically he's blessing Pharaoh for what he's doing for them. Okay? All right? And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers, in the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. He's saying the truth. He's had quite a few evil years. In all of his sojourning and everything else, he's had to deal with a lot. He dealt with Rebekah dying in the way. He dealt with his sons murdering the whole city when he had them. Had them, I can't even think, circumcised. Then they went in there and killed them all. Then his son slept with his mother-in-law, or basically a stepmom. So he's had a lot to deal with from the standpoint of the evil. And of course, Laban did the evil with giving him Leah before gave Rachel for 7 years. And so there's been a lot of stuff going on in his life. But these last few years are going to be something that he's going to appreciate in living in the land of Egypt, in the land of Goshen. And so we get on down into this chapter, and we start noticing some things in the next piece where how bad the famine really got, okay? So we're going to fixing to read some of that, and it gets pretty serious. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. Now, how many has ever watched the movie about Moses, the Ten Commandments? All right, who was the Pharaoh during that? Ramesses. You remember that? Look where you're at. So, you know that's, and Joseph nourished his father and his brethren and all of his father's household with bread according to their families. In other words, he took care of them. He was there to take care of them in everything that they did. Then we get down into the next part, which basically tells us how serious the famine was. It says, and there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. So he's feeding his family bread and everything else. They've got it. But everybody else is basically starving, except for what little that they get from Joseph when they go to him. Notice what happens. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. So basically everybody's just paying for the basic necessities of food, and they're running out of money. Okay? They ain't got nothing left. And he gives it to Pharaoh. And when money failed in the land of Egypt, in other words, when all of it was gone in Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence, for the money faileth? We just don't have nothing else to give you. And Joseph said, give your cattle. Now, I don't know exactly how that was working. If there was such a famine and there was no way to feed the cattle, I don't know how long they lasted, but apparently they lasted a while. Okay? Just take God's word the way it is. And I will give you for your cattle if money failed. In other words, now start bringing your possessions. Okay? And I'll give you that for that. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle, and the herds, and for the asses, and he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. What do you think those cattle went to when they went to the Pharaoh? They went into the land of Goshen for the people to watch them. So the Lord's enriching them all this time. All right? You see how the Lord's working this. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. Now think about it a second. Here you have the Israelites, Jacob's folks, over here in the land of Goshen, feeding all these cattle. And the rest of Egypt is sitting here starving. So God's taking care of them completely in everything that's going on. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants to Pharaoh, and give us seed, that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. So here, we're just going to give you everything we got. All we beg is for some seed for future, to be able to plant stuff in the future. All right? Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. Does that sound like a type of government around here somewhere? Communists? That's what it sounds like. He owns it all. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders to Egypt, even to the other end thereof. So he's moved them out of the cities into the countryside rather than into cities, because they don't have nothing to do. All right? Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them, wherefore they sold not their lands. So that's the only ones that was left. Then Joseph said unto the people, behold, I have bought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and ye shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase, notice this, that ye shall give the fifth part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own, for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for food for your little ones. So He's charging them 20%. God only requires us to give 10%. The government gets the other 10%. They still get their part, but here Pharaoh's charging them 20% for everything that they get, and so he's doing all that for that, and then notice what happens. And it shall come to pass in increase that you can give the fifth part to Pharaoh and 4 parts, so you keep for your own, for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for your food, and for your little ones. And they said, Thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in thy sight of my Lord, and we'll be Pharaoh's servants. We'll serve you. You know, you've saved our lives. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day, that Pharaoh should have a 5th part, except for the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh's. So here we see that it's all going down, the fact that they've got all this material and all this stuff, and basically he's just telling them, you go keep the seed and bring it back in a 5th part, and basically you can live off the rest of it. So whenever everything comes out, that's the way it works out. So, but it's severe, and we've never lived through that here in this country. I mean, I'd say some people that early settlers had some real issues back then, but still not 7 years long. I mean, they just moved for another location if it was drought in that location, but here it was the whole country. So it was very serious state. But God's blessing Israel this whole time. And verse 27, and Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. So we see that they're growing and multiplying and getting out there quite a bit. And then it says, and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, so it makes him 147 years old. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under thy thigh. Does that sound familiar? Yep, that's the way that they all wanted them to do. That's the way Abram did when he went to get a wife, sent Eliezer to get a wife for Isaac. And so here we go. I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt. But I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, Swear unto me. And he sware unto him, and Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. Now, he's not dead yet, but he basically said, don't bury me here. I don't want to be here. I want to go back home to the land of my fathers. Is where I want to be buried. And, of course, they're all buried there except for Rachel, who was buried on the way. Okay? So then we get to chapter 48, and we'll probably have to pick it up next week. Chapter 49 is probably one of the biggest chapters in the last part of the book of Genesis that we want to try to focus on a lot, because it basically has a whole lot of prophecies in that, when Jacob basically says what's going to happen to each one of his sons and their offspring. So anybody got anything they want to say before we dismiss for Sunday school this morning? Of what? Hope chest. Oh, yeah. He knew that they was going to be coming out because God already told him that. And he told him that he was going to bless them and make them a great nation. They'd come out with great substance to do so. So, amen. That's right. Yep. Hey. Yep, for sure. All right, Brother Derek, would you dismiss us in word of prayer?